cigarettes and so on that were very sophisticated building and very large building structures. This is a view from one of them from above. Many of those are being destroyed as we speak. Many of these artifacts in these traditions are disappearing in museums in those regions as we speak. If you look around those regions, you find other things that are large anomaly. This is one of the largest, most amazing anomaly we have on Earth. It is the stones that were the foundation of an ancient temple on which the Roman Empire erected a more recent temple. Afterwards, used the old stones as foundations. Let me show you the relationship of scale of these stones. This is a person, okay? And this is the stone, okay? It's in approximately 22 feet of elevation and has been raised on smaller stones, still very large stone, but smaller stones that holds them up. There's 3 of them, okay, that are remaining there at this point. They're extremely large. In fact, they weigh in excess, these one there weigh in excess of 800 tons, okay? And this one here, that's in a quarry about a half a mile from the temple there, okay, is in excess of 1,000 tons. Okay, those are extremely large stones that seem to have been moved with ease in antiquity. And that doesn't happen very easily. Other artifacts are found around those region. In this case is a little pot that has an insert that's made out of copper and a little rod. And when you put the thing together and put grape juice in it, it becomes a battery. And it's evidence that they were using these batteries to electroplate things. And so the batteries were found, and they're from a certain epoch that makes them approximately 2,000 years old, except that there is electrolysis that was made on objects that were found that are much older than that, up to 4,000 years old. And these must have been plated with the same principle. So there's evidence that these people were using electricity at the time. Okay? And here is a little reproduction of one of these batteries, and they get about 1.1 volts out of it. And in series, you could use them to electroplate things and do all sorts of stuff. This is very ancient, advanced technology. One of these plates that talks about advanced mathematics has a set of geometric structure combined with these mathematics. And sure enough, when you look closely at this geometric structures on those tablets, which are, you know, in fractal growth, they match perfectly the 64 tetrahedron grid when it's on its side. And here is the match. Amazingly, even with the little lines that go in the middle and so on. Perfect match. The tablets describes a geometric progression of the separation of space. Okay? So all this is evidence, all leading to an understanding that there is, this is the Kaaba in the middle of Mecca. This is actually from my tradition. My grandpa was a guide that brought people from Iran to Mecca, and he brought the prayers of the one that couldn't go, because Islamic people all have to go to Mecca once in their life. And the ones that can't afford it, they're allowed to send somebody else. They always have these good, you know. And so my grandpa was a person that would take the prayers of people and bring them to Mecca. He was a Bedouin. He ride on camelback, and it took 6 months there and 6 months back, so it was a long journey, and he would guide people there. And he went to this place very often, having this job, and more often than most other Muslim around our family, that's for sure. And my father has a news article from the Tehran press showing a picture of my grandpa with a small article, I think it was just after he passed, showing that my grandpa lived to the age of 128. And so, you know, this is directly linked to my tradition. And when you read the Quran, you find that, again, in this Quran, in the Kaaba, in the middle cube there, in this geometry, in the middle of this beautiful temple where thousands and thousands of people come to rotate, to torque the field around it, right? And you find that it described that at the center of it is what they call the black stone, or the black sun. In the Quran, it says that it was given by angel Gabriel to Abraham, and that eventually it ended up in the center of Mecca. Maybe we want to take one step back in order to make 2 steps forward. I'm talking about that. Let's assume that maybe because of all these anomalies around the world where people seem to have been moving extraordinarily large objects with what seemed to be extraordinary ease, that there was a time prior to our written history where on this planet, and prior to serious cataclysms that seem to relate to a flood story that is found around the world in over 500 different traditions, that there was this technology, this power source that allowed things to levitate, that allowed things to move about, that allowed information or energy to move through. And that this power source was given to us by advanced civilization that visited our planet thousands and thousands of years prior to our written history. When you do that, if you were a space traveler going through the galaxy and you found a planet that was very, very low in its technological growth, if they weren't too violent at the time and they didn't have too many means to be violent at the time, it would be easy for you to show up, most likely be thought of as a sun god or a god for certain, and give them, you know, technology that could help them along their path. But what if that path of advancement was too rapid for this evolution? That is, the people that got the technology eventually weren't able to handle it because they hadn't learned enough lessons along their path. Well, you would have to take it back somehow and allow that civilization to grow again and reach that level where they would understand the responsibility that comes with advanced technology. And I'm convinced that that is the lesson we're learning right now.